The cargo ship New Horizon moved slowly through the dark space between Earth and Titan. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge watching the stars. He had made this trip hundreds of times before. The ship carried 127 people going home from the mining colonies. Many were families with children who had finished their work contracts. Jake looked at his watch. They would reach Earth in 2 days. He could see his crew working at their stations. Lisa Carter sat at the navigation desk checking their course. Ben Rodriguez was in the engine room making sure everything ran smoothly. The ship was quiet, except for the soft hum of the engine's dot in the passenger areas. People were sleeping or talking quietly. Some children played games on their tablets. Their parents looked tired, but happy to be going home. Jake smiled. These trips always made him feel good. He was bringing people back to their families on Earth. The ship had good shields and weapons. But Jake never worried about attacks. No one had ever seen aliens before. Space was big and empty. Earth had colonies on Mars and some moons, but humans were alone as far as they knew. Jake was thinking about his own family when Lisa spoke up from her station. "Captain, I'm getting some strange readings on the sensors." Jake walked over to look. At her screen, the numbers looked normal to him. "What kind of readings?" "It's like there's something big out there, but I can't see it clearly. The sensors keep changing their minds about what it is." Ben's voice came over the radio from the engine room. "Captain, the engines are acting weird. All the power levels keep jumping around." Jake felt the first touch of worry. In 30 years of flying ships, he had learned to trust his crew. If Lisa and Ben said something was wrong, then something was wrong. "Lisa, can you get a better look at whatever is out there?" She worked at her controls for a few seconds. "I'm trying, but it's like the thing is there and not there at the same time." Suddenly, every alarm on the bridge started screaming. Red lights flashed everywhere. Jake ran to the main control panel. "What's happening?" "Captain, something huge just appeared right next to us," Lisa said. Her voice was shaking. "It's bigger than anything I've ever seen." Jake looked at the main screen. A massive ship floated. Next to them, it was black and covered with strange lights. The ship was at least 10 times bigger than the New Horizon. It had a shape that hurt Jake's eyes to look at. The alien ship seemed to bend and twist in ways that made no sense. "How did it get so close without us seeing it?" Jake asked. "I don't know, Captain. It just appeared." Ben's voice came over the radio again, but now he sounded scared. "Captain, our shields just went down. I don't understand how." "They didn't break. They just turned off." Jake hit the button for the ship's emergency broadcast. "This is Captain Narration of the cargo ship New Horizon. We have an unknown vessel next to us. We need help." Before he could say more, something impossible happened. The alien ship moved right through their shields, like they weren't even there. Jake watched beams of strange green light pass through the New Horizon's hull without making holes. Every system on the ship died at once. The lights went out. The engine stopped. Even the emergency power failed. Jake and his crew stood in complete darkness and silence. Emergency lights flickered on a few seconds later, but they were dim and weak. Jake tried to use the radio, but it was dead. All the computers were dark. "Lisa, Ben, are you okay?" "I'm here, Captain," Lisa said, "but nothing is working." "Same here," Ben called from somewhere in the darkness. "It's like every piece of technology." On the ship just died, Jake heard new sounds. Footsteps in the hallways, but they didn't sound human. The steps were too fast and made clicking noises on the metal floor. The bridge door opened with a loud bang. Jake turned to see creatures walking in. They were tall, maybe 8 feet high. They had 4 arms and big eyes that looked like broken glass. Their skin was gray and seemed to move like water. When they walked, They made the same clicking sounds Jake had heard. One of the creatures held a small device that glowed with blue light. When it spoke, the device turned its words into broken English. You will not move. You will not fight. We are here for collection. Jake stepped forward. Who are you? What do you want? We are Zek Collective. We take specimens for study. Your species shows promise. More creatures came onto the bridge. They carried devices that scanned Jake and his crew with beams of red light. Jake could hear similar sounds throughout the ship. The aliens were everywhere. You can't just take people. Jake said, we have families. We have lives. The tallest creature moved closer to Jake. I am Commander Zek-9. Your individual desires are not important. We will take samples of your species. Your government will provide tribute for their return. What kind of tribute? Technology, resources. Agreement to stay away from our territory. This is how it works with all species. Jake felt anger building in his chest. You're talking about kidnapping, about holding people for ransom. We are talking about survival. Your species will learn to cooperate or face consequences. The creatures continued their scans throughout. The ship, Jake could hear people crying and shouting from the passenger areas. Children were scared and calling for their parents. After an hour, Commander Zek-9 spoke again. We have selected 47 specimens. They will come with us. You will deliver our message to your leaders. What message? Your government has one rotation of your planet to begin negotiations. If they refuse, the specimens will be used for painful experiments. If they attack us, all specimens die. Jake looked at the alien commander. Something cold and hard settled in his stomach. You have no idea what you just did. We have done this with 47 other species. All learned. To cooperate, Jake shook his head. You don't understand humans. We don't negotiate with kidnappers. We don't pay ransom. We erase them. Commander Zek-9 made a sound that might have been laughter. Your species is primitive. You have no weapons that can harm us. You will learn. The aliens took their prisoners, including several families with children. Jake watched helplessly as they were forced onto the alien ship. Among them was 8-year-old Danny Walsh, crying for his mother. When the aliens left, they restored just enough power for the New Horizon to send messages. Jake immediately contacted Earth. This is Captain Morrison. We have been attacked by aliens. They have taken 47 of our people, including children. They want to negotiate. The response from Earth was immediate and cold. Message received. Captain, there will be no negotiation. Prepare detailed reports on the aliens and their technology. Earth is mobilizing for war. Admiral Helen Blake was eating dinner with her family when her emergency phone started ringing. She had been expecting a quiet evening at home, but the red phone only rang when something terrible was happening. Blake here. Admiral, we have a code black situation. Alien contact and hostile action. You need to get to headquarters immediately. Helen dropped her fork. Code black was the worst possible emergency. It meant Earth itself was in danger. I'll be there in 10 minutes. She kissed her husband goodbye and ran to her car. As she drove through the city, she could see military vehicles everywhere. Soldiers were setting up checkpoints. Fighter jets flew overhead. The government was already moving dot at headquarters. Helen found chaos. Officers were running everywhere with papers and tablets. Every screen showed maps and ship positions. General Rick Stone met her at the entrance. Helen, thank God you're here. We have a nightmare situation. Tell me everything. They walked quickly to the main command room. Inside, dozens of people worked at computers and talked on phones. A huge screen on the wall showed a map of all human space. 3 hours ago, the cargo ship New Horizon was attacked by aliens. Rick said, They took 47 people, including children. The aliens want to negotiate. Helen stopped walking. Negotiate what? Technology, resources, territory. They think we'll pay ransom for our people. Are they insane? Apparently they've done this to 47 other species. Everyone else gave up and agreed to pay tribute. Helen looked at the main screen. She could see the New Horizons position and the damage reports. How many people did they take? 47. Men, women, children. They scanned everyone and picked the ones they wanted for experiments. Experiments? Rick handed her a tablet with the full report. Captain Morrison sent us everything. The aliens told him they would torture our people if we don't cooperate. Helen read the report quickly. Her face got colder with every line. When she finished, she looked up at Rick. Get President Kane on the secure line. Call Admiral West and Admiral Park. I want every ship commander in the fleet online in 30 minutes. Helen, what are you thinking? I'm thinking these aliens just made the biggest mistake in galactic history. Within minutes, the command room filled with more officers. President Alex Kane appeared on the main screen from his office in Washington. His face was grim. Admiral Blake, I've read the initial report. What are our options? There's only one option, sir. We mobilize everything we have and we go get our people. What about negotiation? Maybe we can work something out. General Rick Stone stepped forward. Sir, with respect, humans don't negotiate with kidnappers. It only encourages them to take more people. Director of Intelligence Carol Wright spoke up from her seat. I agree. If we pay tribute once, they'll keep taking our people whenever they want something. President Kane was quiet for a moment. What are we talking about here? How big is their fleet? Admiral Blake pulled up new information on the screen. We don't know yet, but it doesn't matter. They took our children, sir. There's no amount of alien technology that makes that acceptable. Are you suggesting we go to war with a species we know nothing about? I'm suggesting we rescue our people and make sure this never happens again. The room was silent. Everyone knew what that meant. This wouldn't just be a rescue mission. It would be a war of complete destruction. President Kane made his decision. Do it. Mobilize everything. I want our people back, and I want these aliens to regret ever hearing of humanity. Admiral Blake turned to her staff. Operation Iron Fist is now active. I want every warship in the fleet ready to move in 72 hours. Contact the Mars colonies and the Titan bases. Everyone comes home to fight. General Stone stepped to another computer. I'll activate all reserve forces. Every retired soldier, every mothballed ship, everything we have. Carol Wright was already working on her tablet. I'll coordinate intelligence gathering. We need to know everything about the Zek Collective. Admiral Blake called Dr. Peter Hayes Earth's best scientist. His face appeared on a small screen. Peter, I'm sending you all the data from the alien attack. I need countermeasures for their phase technology. How long do I have? 3 days. That's impossible, Helen. Make it possible. Our people are counting on us. Over the next few hours, Earth transformed into a war machine. Every shipyard started working around the clock. Factories that made civilian goods switched to making weapons and armor. The news told people that Earth was under attack, and millions of volunteers showed up at military bases. Admiral Blake worked without sleeping. She planned the largest military operation in human history. 2,000 ships would join the fleet. The massive dreadnoughts Earth's Wrath and Final Answer were pulled out of storage and updated with the newest weapons. Captain Morrison arrived at headquarters after his ship was repaired. He looked tired and angry. Admiral, I want to join the fleet. Those aliens have my passengers. You'll have the revenge you want, Captain. But first, I need you to tell me everything about their ship and their technology. Morrison spent hours describing every detail he could remember. The aliens' appearance, their weapons, the way their ship moved through solid matter. Every piece of information went to the scientists working on countermeasures. Dr. Hayes called back after 2 days. Helen, I think I have something. Their phase technology works by shifting their ships slightly out of normal space. If we can create quantum disruption fields, we might be able to force them back into normal space where our weapons can hit them. Can you do it? I'm already installing the equipment on your ships. It's untested, but it should work. Admiral Blake looked at the fleet gathering around Earth. Ships came from every human colony. The asteroid mining ships brought their heavy industrial equipment converted into weapons. Even civilian cargo ships volunteered to carry supplies. The fleet was ready in exactly 72 hours. Admiral Blake stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Retribution. Around her floated the largest military force humanity had ever assembled. She opened a communication channel to the alien ship that was still near the new horizon. This is Admiral Helen Blake of the United Earth Defense Force. You have taken 47 human citizens. Return them immediately and unharmed, or face the consequences. The alien response came quickly. Commander Zeet-9's translated voice sounded amused. Your threats are meaningless. We have technology you cannot comprehend. Begin negotiations, or watch your specimens suffer. Admiral Blake's voice was ice cold when she replied. We don't negotiate with kidnappers. You have 48 hours to return our people. After that, we will destroy everything you have ever built. She closed the channel and turned to her navigation officer. Set course for the Zek system. Maximum speed. The entire fleet turned toward deep space. 2,000 ships carrying humanity's fury moved out to bring their people home and teach the galaxy a lesson it would never forget. The Zek homeworld was a place of towering crystal cities and floating platforms. For thousands of years, the collective had ruled over dozens of star systems. They were proud of their advanced technology and their ability to make other species obey them. Commander Zek-9 stood in the High Council chambers reporting on the human situation. The room was filled with the most important leaders of the collective. Their compound eyes reflected the blue light from the crystal walls. The human specimens are secured on Research Station 7, Zek-9 said. We have begun initial testing. Their biology is interesting, but not exceptional. Council leader Zek Prime moved closer. She was ancient, even by Zek standards, and her gray skin had patterns that showed her high rank. What of their government's response? Have they begun tribute negotiations? They refused to negotiate. They sent threats instead. Several council members made clicking sounds that meant amusement. Zek Prime waved one of her 4 arms dismissively. All species make threats at first. Fear makes them brave for a short time. When we begin the painful experiments, it will change their minds. Zek-9 hesitated. These humans seem different. Their military is mobilizing. Our scouts report large numbers of ships gathering around their homeworld. How many ships? Nearly 2,000. The clicking sound stopped. The council chamber became very quiet. 2,000 ships? Zek Prime asked. That seems excessive for a rescue mission. Yes, Council Leader. They appear to be preparing for war. Zek Prime thought for a moment. No matter. We have defeated larger fleets before. Our phase technology makes us untouchable. Continue the experiments on the human specimens. Broadcast the results to their homeworld. Pain will make them reasonable. Meanwhile, on Research Station 7, the human prisoners were kept in energy cages that glowed with purple light. Captain Jake Morrison sat in his cage looking around the room. The other prisoners were scared, but trying to stay calm. The aliens had separated the children from their parents. 8-year-old Danny Walsh was crying quietly in a cage near the far wall. His mother Mary was in another part of the station and couldn't comfort him. "How are you holding up, Danny?" Jake called softly. "I want to go home," Danny whispered. "When are they coming to get us?" "Soon," Jake promised. "Our people will come for us." In another cage, Lisa Carter was watching the alien guards carefully. She had been studying their movements and routines for 2 days. The navigation officer was good at noticing patterns. "Jake," she whispered, "I think I know when they change shifts." Near the back of the room, young engineer Katie Murphy was doing something more dangerous. She had a neural implant that helped her work with computers. The aliens didn't know about it because it was hidden inside her brain. Katie was carefully connecting to the station's computer systems. The alien technology was strange, but all computers worked on similar principles. She was slowly mapping the station's layout and systems. What she found surprised her. The entire station was powered by one central core deep in the middle of the structure. If something happened to that core, the whole station would lose power. The aliens thought their technology was too advanced for humans to understand, so they hadn't protected it very well. The Zek scientists began their experiments on the 3rd day. They took 3 prisoners to a laboratory filled with strange machines. The humans could hear screaming through the walls. When the prisoners were brought back, they were hurt but alive. The aliens had been testing human pain responses and physical limits. Commander Zek 9 recorded everything and sent the data to Earth. "Your specimens are suffering," he broadcast to the human government. "Begin tribute negotiations immediately, or the pain will increase." The response from Earth came back within hours. It was not what the aliens expected. "This is Admiral Helen Blake. We have received your transmission. You have made your final mistake. Our fleet arrives in 18 hours. Prepare to die. Commander." Zek 9 was confused. No species had ever responded this way. Usually the broadcasts of prisoner suffering made governments eager to negotiate. He called another council meeting. The humans still refused to negotiate. "Their fleet is approaching our outer system." Zek Prime seemed annoyed. "How large is this fleet?" 2,000 ships, council leader. "They will arrive at Research Station 7 tomorrow." 2,000 ships. To rescue 47 individuals? This makes no sense. Perhaps they value their people more than most species. Or perhaps they are simply stupid. Activate our defense fleet. We will show them what happens when primitives challenge the collective. The Zek defense fleet had 500 ships each, equipped with the same phase technology that made them nearly impossible to hit. They had never lost a battle, but as the human fleet approached, something strange happened. The Zek ships found they couldn't phase through the human weapons anymore. Dr. Hayes's quantum disruption fields were working perfectly. On Research Station 7, Katie Murphy had finished mapping the computer systems. She whispered to Jake Morrison, "During the next meal period, I found their weakness. The whole station runs on one power core. If we can damage it, everything shuts down. How do we get to it? We don't have to. I can access it through their computer network, but I need a distraction." Jake looked around at the other prisoners. They were all scared, but they were also angry. The aliens had hurt their friends and separated families. What kind of distraction? Something big enough to keep all the guards busy. Lisa Carter had been listening. "I have an idea. What if we started a fight? Made them think we were trying to escape?" "That could work," Jake said, "but some of us might get hurt." "We're going to get hurt anyway," said one of the other prisoners, an older man named Frank Davis. "At least this way we fight back." They made their plan carefully. When the aliens came for the next group of prisoners for experiments, the humans would resist. Not to actually escape, but to cause enough chaos that Katie could access the power core undetected. The plan began the next morning. When the alien guards opened the energy cages, instead of cooperating, the humans fought back. They couldn't win against the aliens' weapons, but they could make a lot of noise and confusion. While the guards were busy dealing with the fighting prisoners, Katie closed her eyes and used her neural implant to connect deeply with the station's computers. She found the power core's control systems and began carefully overloading them. The station's power began to fluctuate. Lights dimmed and brightened randomly. The alien guards became worried and called for technical support. Katie smiled. She had found something even better than shutting down the power. She had found the station's communication systems. She could send a signal to the approaching human fleet with the exact location of all the prisoners. As Admiral Blake's fleet entered the Zek system, they received Katie's signal. Now they knew exactly where their people were and how to rescue them. The young engineer had given humanity exactly what they needed to turn a rescue mission into total victory. Commander Zek-9 stood on his command ship watching the human fleet approach. For the first time in his life, he felt something he had never experienced before: fear. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Zek system like a storm of metal and fire. 2,000 ships spread across space in perfect formation. Admiral Helen Blake stood on the bridge of the Retribution, watching the alien homeworld grow larger on her screens. Admiral, we're detecting 500 Zek ships moving to intercept us, reported her tactical officer Lieutenant Andy Miller. Good. Let them come. The Zek defense fleet approached with confidence. For centuries, no enemy had been able to touch their ships. Their phase technology let them slip through any attack like ghosts. Commander Zek-9 led the fleet from his flagship, certain that these primitive humans would learn their place. All ships, engage phase mode, Zek-9 ordered. Show these creatures what happens when they challenge the collective. The Zek ships shimmered and became translucent. They looked like pictures made of glass floating in space. This technology had won them every battle for 1,000 years. Admiral Blake watched the enemy ships change. Dr. Hayes, are your quantum disruptors ready? All ships are equipped and calibrated, Admiral. The theory is sound, but this is the first real test. Then let's see if human science can beat alien arrogance. All ships activate quantum disruption fields. Across the human fleet, strange new devices powered up. They created invisible fields that twisted space itself. The fields reached out toward the Zek ships like invisible hands. Commander Zek-9 was ordering his attack when something impossible happened. His ship suddenly became solid again. All around him, the Zek fleet was forced back into normal space. What's happening? He demanded. Why can't we phase? His science officer checked the instruments frantically. Commander, the humans are generating some kind of quantum interference. Our phase drives won't work. For the first time in collective history, Zek ships were vulnerable. Admiral Blake's voice came over the radio to all human ships. Target acquired. All vessels, you are free to fire. The human fleet opened fire with everything they had. Lasers, missiles, particle beams, and kinetic rounds filled the space between the fleets. The Zek ships trapped in normal space took the full force of humanity's weapons. The first alien ship exploded in a ball of green fire. Then another. Then 10 more. Commander Zek-9 watched his fleet being destroyed around him. Ships that had seemed untouchable for centuries were burning and breaking apart. Retreat, he ordered. All ships retreat to the homeworld. But the human fleet was faster and more organized. They surrounded the Zek ships and cut off their escape routes. Admiral Blake had studied every battle report from human history. She knew how to trap an enemy fleet. No one escapes, she told her captains. These aliens took our children. Every ship that participated in that crime dies today. The battle lasted 3 hours. When it ended, the entire Zeke defense fleet was destroyed. Only a few escape pods drifted in space. The humans picked up the survivors for questioning Dot with the fleet gone. Admiral Blake turned her attention to Research Station 7. Katie Murphy's signal had given them exact coordinates and layout information. Colonel Steve Ross, your Marines. Air cleared for assault, Blake ordered. Yes, ma'am. We'll bring our people home. Colonel Ross led 500 Marines in assault ships toward the research station. The station was heavily armed, but it was designed to fight other ships, not small fast fighters carrying angry humans. The Marines blasted through the station's outer hall in 12 different places. They moved through the corridors like water, flowing downhill, unstoppable and everywhere at once. The Zek guards tried to resist, but they had never fought humans before. They were used to other species that fought carefully and tried to minimize casualties. Humans fought like wild animals protecting their young. Private Julie Kim kicked down a door and found 3 alien scientists torturing a human prisoner. She didn't hesitate. Her rifle fired until all 3 aliens were dead. Sergeant Mike Brown found the children's section. Danny Walsh was still crying in his energy cage. The 8-year-old had been alone and scared for days. "It's okay, son," Mike said as he freed Danny from the cage. "We're here to take you home." Danny looked up at the Marine's face. "Are you really from Earth?" "Yes, kid. Your mom and dad sent us to get you." Colonel Ross fought his way to the main prison area where Captain Morrison and the other adults were held. The prison was guarded by 20 Zek soldiers, but the Marines went through them like a hurricane. "Captain Morrison?" Ross called out as he broke open the energy cages. "Right here, Colonel. Are we glad to see you? How many prisoners are hurt?" Morrison's face went dark. "We lost 3 people to their experiments. Danny's father, Tom Walsh, engineer Sarah Kim, and Dr. Robert Grant. They died because these monsters wanted to test human pain limits." Colonel Ross felt something cold settle in his stomach. "I'm sorry, Captain. We'll make them pay for this." Katie Murphy ran up to them. "Colonel, I can shut down the whole station from the control room. I've been mapping their systems for days." "Do it." Katie led a squad of Marines to the station's control center. The young engineer's neural implant connected to the alien computers like she had been born to do it. Within minutes, she had complete control of the station. "I can access their entire database," she reported. "All their research, their other facilities, even their homeworld defense plans. Download everything," Ross ordered. "Intelligence will want to see it all." As the Marines secured the station and treated the injured prisoners, Admiral Blake received the casualty reports. 3 humans dead, dozens more hurt and traumatized. She opened a communication channel to the Zeke homeworld. "This is Admiral Blake. We have rescued our people and destroyed your fleet. You killed 3 of our citizens. That was your final mistake." The response came from Council Leader Zek Prime herself. "Admiral Blake, perhaps we can reach an agreement. The collective is prepared to offer compensation for your losses." "Compensation?" Blake's voice was ice cold. "You tortured our people to death. You separated children from their parents. You think money will fix that? What do you want?" "I want you to understand what happens when someone hurts human children. I want the galaxy to learn that humanity doesn't negotiate with kidnappers." Blake turned to her fleet commanders. "All ships, target the Zek homeworld. Begin orbital bombardment of military targets." "Admiral," said Captain Morrison, who had been brought aboard the flagship, "what about the civilian population?" "We're not monsters, Captain. We'll target only military installations and government buildings. But the collective as a military power ends today." The human fleet moved toward the Zek homeworld. Every ship had weapons charged and ready. The aliens had expected negotiation, or perhaps a limited rescue mission. They were about to learn that humans, when pushed too far, don't stop at rescue. They eliminate the threat completely. Council leader Zek Prime watched the human fleet approach and realized that the collective had made an enemy they couldn't defeat. For the first time in 1,000 years, the Zek were the ones who were afraid. Admiral Blake's voice came over all frequencies. People of the galaxy, let this be a lesson. Touch one human child, and we will erase your civilization from the stars. We don't negotiate. We don't compromise. We protect our own. The final battle for the Zek homeworld was about to begin. The Zeke homeworld had never seen an enemy fleet in its skies. For thousands of years, it had been safe behind the protection of the collective's mighty war machine. Now 2,000 human ships surrounded the planet like angry metal wasps. Council. Leader Zek Prime stood in the emergency command center deep beneath the capital city. Around her, Zek military leaders worked frantically to organize what remained of their forces. How many ships do we have left? She asked. 17, Council leader. All others were destroyed in the outer system battle. Zek Prime felt something she had never experienced before. Despair. The humans had swept through the collective's defenses like they were made of paper. Admiral Blake's voice came over the planet's communication systems. It was broadcast to every city, every building, every person on the world. People of the Zek homeworld, this is Admiral Helen Blake of the United Earth Defense Force. Your government kidnapped 47 human citizens, including children. They tortured 3 of our people to death. Your military is destroyed. Your research stations are captured. This is what happens when you threaten human families. The orbital bombardment began at dawn. Human ships targeted government buildings, military bases, and weapons factories. Each strike was precise and devastating. The humans weren't trying to kill civilians, but they wanted to make sure the collective could never threaten anyone again. Beautiful crystal towers that housed the High Council shattered under missile strikes. Military academies where young Zek learned to conquer other species burned to the ground. Ship construction yards that had built the phase drive fleet were reduced to twisted metal. Council. Leader Zek Prime tried to contact other collective worlds for help, but the humans had been thorough. Strike teams had hit every major military installation in Zek space. There was no help coming. Council leader, said her military advisor, perhaps we should surrender. The collective does not surrender. We have ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years. Council leader, the galaxy is watching. 47 other species are seeing what happens to those who anger humans. If we don't surrender soon, they might join the humans against us. Zek Prime knew he was right. The species that had paid tribute to the collective for centuries were now seeing their oppressors destroyed. Some might decide this was their chance for revenge. She opened a communication channel to Admiral Blake's flagship. Admiral Blake, this is Council Leader Zek Prime. I wish to discuss terms of surrender. Blake's response came quickly. There are no terms. Your government ceases to exist as of today. Your military is disbanded. Your research into weapons technology ends permanently. Those are not negotiations. Those are facts. What about our people? Our civilians? Your civilians will be fine, as long as they stay out of our way. But anyone who is involved in kidnapping or torturing humans will be handed over for trial. Zek Prime felt her last hope disappear. Admiral, surely we can reach some agreement. The collective has valuable technology we could share. Council leader, let me explain something to you. When you took our children, you crossed a line that can't be uncrossed. There is no technology, no amount of wealth, no territory that will. Bring back Tom Walsh, Sarah Kim, and Robert Grant. You killed them for your experiments. Now your civilization pays the price. But we can make amends. We can compensate the families. Admiral Blake's voice became even colder. You still don't understand. This isn't about money or treaties or agreements. This is about making sure that no one in this galaxy ever thinks they can take human children again. The bombardment continued for 3 days. By the end, every military installation on the Zek homeworld was destroyed. The collective's ability to wage war was completely eliminated, but Admiral Blake wasn't finished. She split her fleet into hunter groups and sent them throughout Zek space. Any ship, base, or facility that had been involved in the kidnapping was tracked down and destroyed. The other species in the galaxy watched in amazement. For centuries, they had lived in fear of the collective. Now they saw their oppressors hunted to extinction by a species most of them had never heard of before. Captain Morrison, now promoted to admiral for his role in the crisis, led one of the hunter groups. He felt no satisfaction in the destruction. 3 of his passengers were dead, and no amount of revenge would bring them back. But he understood why it had to be done. "Sir," said his tactical officer, "we found another research station. It appears to be abandoned. Scan it anyway." Make. Sure, there are no prisoners inside. They found the station empty, but Katie Murphy discovered something important in the computer files. Records of experiments on humans and dozens of other species. Evidence of centuries of cruelty and kidnapping. Admiral Morrison, Katie reported. These files show they've been doing this for over 500 years. Hundreds of different species. Thousands of victims. Morrison felt sick. The collective hadn't just taken humans. They had been kidnapping and torturing people across the galaxy for centuries. He sent the files to Admiral Blake immediately. Blake read the reports on her flagship. The scale of the collective's crimes was enormous. They had terrorized entire civilizations, stolen children from dozens of worlds, conducted horrific experiments on innocent people. She opened a channel to broadcast across the entire galaxy. "People of all worlds, this is Admiral Helen Blake of Earth. We have discovered evidence that the Zek collective has been kidnapping and torturing your people for 500 years. Their reign of terror is over. Any species that wishes to join us in hunting down the remaining collective forces is welcome to do so." The response was immediate. 47 different species offered to help. Ships from across the galaxy joined. The human fleet. The hunters became the hunted dot within 6 months. Every collective facility in the galaxy was destroyed or abandoned. Commander Zek-9, who had started the whole crisis by kidnapping humans, was captured trying to escape to another galaxy. He was handed over to the species whose people he had tortured. The war officially ended when the last collective ship was destroyed near the edge of known space. Admiral Blake gathered her fleet for the journey home to Earth at the memorial service. For the 3 humans who died, President Kane spoke to the assembled crowd. Tom Walsh, Sarah Kim, and Robert Grant died because aliens thought humans were weak. They thought we would negotiate and pay tribute like other species. They learned too late that humans don't negotiate with kidnappers. We eliminate them. Admiral Blake stood with the families of the victims. Tom Walsh's wife, Mary, held 8-year-old Danny close. The boy had nightmares, but he was alive and safe because humanity had refused to abandon him. The galaxy is different. Now, Blake told the crowd, every species knows what happens when you threaten human families. They know we will cross any distance, fight any enemy, and pay any price to protect our own. Captain Morrison, now in charge of the new human protection fleet, spoke last. Let this be remembered throughout the stars. Humans don't negotiate. We don't compromise when our families are threatened. We annihilate the threat completely. Touch one human child, and we will erase your civilization from existence. The memorial ended with a moment of silence for the dead. Then the crowd dispersed, knowing that their children were safe, because humanity had shown the galaxy exactly what happens to those who dare to take them in the years that followed. No alien species ever kidnapped another human. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humans were not prey. They were predators, and their teeth were very, very sharp.